I warn you, some of the ugliest drawings I've made is in here. Hello everyone! Wow, this week's video was a challenge for me. I decided to do a sketchbook mini slam challenge. I tried to fill this whole sketchbook only using the supplies in these 4 ScrawlrBoxes. I know it's not a very thick sketchbook, but it is still 40 pages or sides in total in 10 days, which is a lot if you usually don't sketch or draw every single day. And the sketchbook I'm gonna use is from January ScrawlrBox, and I will first take one box at a time and do the Scrawler challenges, and then after that I'm gonna draw whatever I want to draw and mix the different supplies. First is October's box, also with a sketchbook that would have been so much smarter for me to use since it is a lot smaller, but nope, I had to go with a big one. We also have some fine liners and some paint markers and some other stuff. The challenge or prompt is equilibrium, and it was a tough one since I don't have the time to spend hours and hours on thinking about creative, fun ideas. So I just went with what first popped up in my head, which is yin and yang as mandalas. And as soon as I started, I knew it was a bad idea since I am terrible at drawing symmetrical things, but no turning back now, I have to go with it. I also was no big fan of the paint markers, to be honest. They leaked a lot and left ink blobs on the paper, so that may also have contributed to the not so good drawings. And you're gonna see many art pieces in this book that I'm not very proud of, but my goal is not to make masterpieces, obviously, but to fill this sketchbook and at the same time push myself to perhaps draw things that I wouldn't normally draw, you'll see, and to finish a piece even if I don't love it, because I can still learn something from it. I can't just scrap the drawing in the sketchbook and throw it away if I don't like it, so I have to deal with the less good drawings too, which is good practice for me. Next box is February with watercolor pencils and a water brush and other stuff. The prompt is quiet morning, which I love. There is something magical with early mornings, especially in the summer. I found myself really enjoying making a sketch in watercolor pencils and then adding water. I like the cloudy effect, and the small sketches that I first made are some of my favorites in this whole sketchbook. It was super fun to play around with the pencils. I only wish that the sketchbook paper was a little better with watercolors. It did warp a lot. The watercolor pencils dissolved very easily and the colors look so vibrant. I just don't love the chalky look of it, but I think that most watercolor pencils looks like that. The water brush was super weird though. Whenever I pushed it, it kind of shot out the water, so I ended up just dipping it in the water jar as a regular brush to avoid accidents. Next we have March's box, and I really love this one. We have metallic brush pen, fine liner, super glittery gel pens and a magic color pencil. The prompt is magic potions, and this challenge fits me perfectly. I love drawing little bottles with things inside, especially mini environments. I was a little disappointed in the brush pen though. It is supposed to be metallic, but it looks very dull to me. But I do love the color. The gel pens are amazing though. They have one base color and then they shimmer in another color. So pretty. and I know I shouldn't spend much time on these drawings, but I couldn't help myself with this one. I wanted to add many details and play around with the shapes and the different supplies. Also, even if I don't mention or talk about every single drawing, and some of them I will actually draw off camera, I will do a flip through by the end of this video so that you can see all the drawings in the sketchbook. And the last box, January. We have 2 markers, a black wing graphite pencil, a super heavy bullet pencil sharpener, and a fine liner. And the prompt is starlit. I think this might be the most challenging prompt for me so far. I didn't have any ideas at all, so I just googled starlit for some inspiration, and I only got pictures of these Toyota starlit cars. So I guess I'm drawing a car. Guys, I hate drawing cars. Good thing it looks funny from the beginning, so I didn't mess it up too bad. And yeah, I will probably not use the markers anymore in this sketchbook since they do bleed through the pages. I think the absolute hardest part with this challenge was the time. I think I said that I worked on it for 10 days, but I think it's actually less than 10 days, maybe a week in total, which sounds like a lot for some people, but to me it was tough. I thought it would be so much easier to fill up the pages, but it took so long just to fill one page. I apparently draw a lot slower than I first thought, and yeah, I easily get stuck on the details, I guess, but I also think that using supplies that I'm not used to at all might also have something to do with it. And yes, I know that people have done the hardcore sketchbook slam challenge with 300 pages in 1 month, and I do not envy them at all. I could never do that, mainly because of my job, I guess. I only have a couple of hours in the evenings to work on the sketchbook, so this mini version was enough challenge for me. So if you would like to try out the sketchbook slam challenge, but you don't want to die at the same time, this might be a good option for you. What I did for the second part of the sketchbook was just playing around with the supplies and mixing them and experimenting. It was also a challenge to come up with the things to draw. Sometimes I just put the pen to the paper and made a circle for a face or a pattern, and sometimes it turned out kind of nice and other times it was not so great. Even if I said that some of the ugliest drawings is in here, I do also really like some of them, so it isn't all bad. I think the watercolor pencils was the easiest medium to use since you can fill a lot of space pretty quickly, and with all the colors it still looks kind of pretty even if it is a mess. I also really love the glitter gel pens even if they were a little smudgy. And another pen I also used a lot was the double-ended pen that came with ScrawlrBox, I think. It has like a stiffer brush nib that was very nice to draw with. I think it's really fun to see how well all these supplies work together, and in only these 4 boxes you get a lot of variety. And if you would like to try out a ScrawlrBox yourself, there is a link in the description box below. Not sponsored. So did I learn anything from this experience? Yes, I should never try to fill a whole sketchbook in such short amount of time again. I mean, it wasn't that bad, but I want to enjoy making art, and pushing myself to create several pieces every day that I'm not very fond of was hard for me. I do believe though that if I had a sketchbook that I liked better, an art medium that I picked myself, it would probably be a lot easier. I do actually think that the sketchbook was one of my biggest problems. The paper was so rough and it buckled and bent a lot, so it was hard to work on the pages on the left side in the sketchbook. So I think that my tips for filling a whole sketchbook quickly is to pick a sketchbook with paper that you like. I personally prefer my Moleskine watercolor sketchbook since it lays flat on the desk and you can pretty much use any kind of art medium in it besides markers, I believe. I also think that limiting the art supplies might help you. If you are like me and you want to draw different things with different art mediums, having limited supplies might make it easier for you to come up with and decide things to draw. I believe that if I had only used the watercolor pencils, for example, or an ink pen, it would probably have taken me a lot faster to fill this sketchbook. And another thing I can recommend to come up with ideas is to look at references or to find inspiration in the surrounding. Draw what's outside your window, a pattern that you see on your wallpaper, your favorite animal, scenes from your favorite book, or you can practice drawing hands or eyes or gestures and poses. I honestly cannot really tell where I get my ideas from, and I can't say that they are super unique and original, but most of the time they just pop up in my head as soon as I start drawing a shape, or if I pick my favorite color or a pen that I like to use. I could imagine that picking a theme to follow would also make the process much faster and easier, like only drawing animals for the whole book, for example. And even if you limit yourself, you also narrows down all the possible things that you can draw, because there is a lot of things that you can draw. I noticed that following some of the prompts in the beginning actually gave me more ideas, even if they also limited me. So there you have it, one whole sketchbook completed in 10 days or less, filled with both nice and not so nice sketches and drawings. And even if I'm not proud of all the drawings, I am definitely super proud that I filled the whole sketchbook and that I made it in time. I also think it was a fun and effective way to catch up with all the ScrawlrBoxes. Now I'm not behind anymore and I can take them as they arrive. I hope you enjoyed this little sketchbook slam challenge and the flip through here at the end. Let me know which sketch is your favorite or your least favorite. It depends on how nice you are. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you're new here and click on that little bell icon to get notified every time I post new art and videos, and I will see you next time. Keep drawing my happy cats. Bye!